What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 5 NFL predictions. And as always, I got my guy Ethan here to break down this week's games. And we'll talk about last week as well. And obviously, Ethan, you had a great week going 12 and 3. And obviously the tie as well for both of us picking the Packers. You got
Yes.
me on pretty much almost all the games except that Chiefs Ravens game. And that's kind of where my losses came. But, I'll give the floor to you here. I guess what was your biggest takeaway here from week 4?
Tyreek Hill's knee. That was
Hmm.
a big one for Miami. I mean there was a let's see here. Philadelphia, I was really surprised about. That game was very entertaining.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty accurate. None of the others were really like too entertaining. Um, but
Baltimore, I mean Baltimore getting blown out. It's kind of rough for me.
yeah, and Lamar, obviously now he's out for 2 weeks plus the bye. My biggest takeaway was going to the Bills game, and it was pretty electric. Obviously, the Bills fans are no joke. Great stadium atmosphere. So I can see why teams struggle going in to play in Buffalo. But we'll also talk about those locks. And you did really good last week. I'm going 5-1. Obviously, myself another 3-3 week, which isn't bad, of course.
Not
Um,
bad, not bad.
my touchdowns didn't really work out too much the first 3 games, but then the last three all hit. But you kind of cooked in that one, except Tampa, just didn't score enough to keep it close.
Yeah, they had a chance there to keep it close. I actually bet this, so I was sweating it a little bit. Yeah, so they had a chance to score and keep it close, but they just couldn't do it. Philadelphia really they locked their defense in there after blowing a big lead. But yeah, other than that, they were all nails.
And then week 5, we're going to go into it here. I'm taking the Giants and the Broncos to cover on the road in New Orleans and Philly. And I like that Denver Philly under. I just think that's going to be such a low scoring game, defensive battle. Marvin Harrison and Chris Godwin, I think these guys are going to score a touchdown. Godwin obviously returned last week and didn't score, but had a ton of targets. So I expect him to score along with Marvin Harrison because, he finally scored, had a good game last Thursday. And I think the trend continues against the Titans. And then I like the Chargers to cover against the Commanders. And those odds, I did not think they would be that high of 10,174. So, you bet a dollar,
Wow.
you win, a little over $100.
Yeah, those are great odds, honestly. Um, but as for me, I have Baltimore plus 2.5. I think it's going to be a close game. They're playing at home. I know Lamar's out, but I think it'll be a close game still. They have a lot to prove. With that being said, Derrick Henry is going to score a touchdown. And then I got Amon-Ra to stay hot, Javante Williams as well, Devon Achan, and then Omarion Hampton, anytime touchdowns
Yeah,
at
then
plus 24.58. My bad.
yeah, that's not bad at all. A lot of touchdowns that you can see happening. And teams on the bye, obviously, I'm going to talk about my Packers. Just because, we're going into the bye very mediocre after two stellar performances, weeks 1 and 2, lose to the Browns, and then you put up 40 and tie the Cowboys for a scoreagami, which, isn't a bad thing to scoreagami. But, I just think this defense needs to regroup. I think Micah Parsons is going to learn more and more now, with an extended absence with this bye week. That same goes for the Bears. New offense, players learning a new scheme, and Caleb Williams has looked better and better as the weeks go on. So I think this bye week is going to only help him and the team really get all on the same page.
Yeah, and as for me, I mean, the Steelers, I think they came off a great win. They almost blew it, but this is a big time week for them I believe they play Cleveland next week. So that'll be a good test for them as well.
Yeah, and we just won't talk about the Falcons because, we don't really care about them. So we'll
I
go
mean,
to Thursday. Nah, not too late. We don't care.
all right.
Thursday, right now the score is 14-7. The Rams did just score, so it is a little closer here. We're still obviously going to go with the Rams here. We're going to honor our pregame picks, but they need to step it up here. It's a big game, not only for the Niners because half of their team is missing, but whoever wins this more than likely is going to be in first place in NFC West after week 5. And we know how this division goes at the end of the year. It's normally decided by a game or two, and this normally is the game that decides it by a game or two is the Niners and Rams. So everything's on the line here in week 5.
Yeah, it's a huge game. Like you said, a lot of playoff implications. I'm gonna take the Rams like I took them before, so got to keep it going. And I'm hoping for a win here.
Yet then we'll move to the non-important games. We're all the same here. We're all going Panthers. Colts, Giants, and the Cowboys. I think I'm taking the Panthers just because I think that the Dolphins, yeah, they got a win last week, but now losing Tyreek, that's a huge part of their offense. And the Panthers, I feel like they're a team that just can win these games that, no one's going to watch. Same goes for the Giants. They play the Saints. Spencer Rattler has never won a game in his career as a starter as a Saint. I think he's 0-11, and Jackson Dart's 1-0. So I like my chances there. And then Danny Dimes and the Colts just look really good right now, even losing to the Rams last week by 7. Then the Cowboys, if they can put up 24 on this Jets team, it's probably going to be over.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with the Cowboys. I mean, that game, it doesn't even, that's not even going to be close. Same with the Giants Saints. Colts Raiders, I think, can be very entertaining, though. I think that'll be close. It'll be one of those crazy games. And yeah, I'm taking the Panthers. Dolphins just have bad vibes right now, so going with the Panthers here.
All right. Well, for the other two games that aren't as important as well, expected two blowouts here. Cardinals favored by 8.5. I think the Lions are 10.5. I'm going with the
You're
Lions,
still
obviously, just because why not? And I'm still going to ride with the Titans. They got to win eventually.
Yes, sir.
And I think if there's any game that they would win, it would be the one on the road against a Cardinals team that finally looked like they got it together. But not having a running back could be a big concern in this one because the Titans defense isn't actually too bad. It's just they just can't get on the same page on the offensive side yet. Maybe this is the game where they unlock that.
Yeah, and I think the Lions Bengals game is going to be a blowout as well. It very well should be.
We'll jump into the real games here. And
Okay.
it's another 9:30 kick, this time in London, not Ireland. Minnesota's traveling from Ireland to London, sightseeing overseas, and I think they're going to get a victory here against the Browns. Dylan Gabriel starting for the Browns. Obviously, that's a big story coming into this one. But Carson Wentz has looked really good as the starter for the Vikings, even in a losing effort last week. His fourth quarter comeback just falls short. He had that team pretty much almost on the ropes, had the Steelers on the ropes, that is, late
Yep.
in that game. But this offense looks really good. Like I said, Justin Jefferson, he's playing really good under Carson Wentz, and I think that's only a good thing to come. And Jordan Addison's back. We saw it last week, but another week in the system. I think that both of these teams are going to be good, but the Vikings just have a lot more chemistry, I guess you could say, with their quarterback at this point, rather than the Browns throwing in yet again another rookie quarterback.
Yeah, it's very, very sad times again in Cleveland, but I mean, I don't think it's going to get any better right here. I'm taking the Vikings on the road in London though. So, yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Vikings here. I think that extra week, you know, I think that'll help them out a lot. So,
Yeah, then we'll move to those
great
1 o'clock
analysis.
games. And Texans, Ravens, whoever loses this is going to be 1-4. And I think that's crazy to think about as we came into the season thinking neither of these teams, excuse me, would be under 500. And I'm going with the Ravens and Cooper Rush. I just think that they're going to run the ball. And as long as Derrick Henry's there, he's probably going to have a big game. And if he doesn't, then more than likely the Texans are going to win this game. But, give the Texans credit. Their defense is really good. So I expect kind
Yeah.
of a low scoring game in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. The Texans defense has been playing really well. I'm taking the Ravens as well with Cooper Rush. I think the running game is just going to be still unstoppable. And I know the Texans have a good defense, but it's just going to be a close, kind of grimy game, and I think it'll be Ravens winning it in a close one.
And also at 1, potentially the game of the week, you get the Broncos and the Eagles. And I'm going with the Broncos here on the road. And I say that because, well, Bo Nix and company have been so close in their 2 losses. This team could easily be 4-0, and the Eagles could easily be 2-2. So I don't really look at the records here in this matchup. Philly's favored by 3. That's pretty much home field advantage. So these teams are pretty even. And right now, I trust the Broncos defense more than I trust Philly's defense because, they've been kind of suspect late in games at this point. If it weren't for a blocked field goal, they would have lost. And if it weren't
Yeah.
for, just a few things that went wrong last week in the first half for the Rant or for who the Eagles play? Oh, for the Bucks. If the
Bucks.
Bucks weren't off to a slow start, then they could easily be 2-2. So with that being said, I like Bo Nix. I kind of trust him in the passing game more than I trust the Eagles passing game at this point right now. So that's why I'm going with the Broncos.
It's a fair pick. I just think it'll be too loud in Philly. I think it'll just be a very rough environment for Bo Nix, still a young quarterback or a younger quarterback. He's not that young, but yeah, I mean, I feel like the Eagles just have more experience, and I think it'll be a great game though. Like you said, a game of the week type of game. But I got to take the Eagles here close, especially being at home, and I think they're going to bounce back this week.
Then at 4, you got the Bucks going on the road to face the Seahawks, potentially one of the best uniform matchups of all time.
Yeah.
Bucks wearing their old school, Seahawks wearing their 90s old school. You got to tune in just for the colors on the field. But I'm going with the Bucks on the road. Baker practiced in full today, meaning he is healthy and he is going to play in this one. And Bucky Irving's the big question mark. He may not be playing in this one due to a knee injury. So that's something to monitor here. But I think it doesn't matter because this Bucks team loves to throw the ball around. They still got Rachaad White who can fill in great for the Bucky Irving role. And the Bucks defense, I think, is going to be able to travel here on the road and stop that Seahawks offense.
Yeah, I think this will be a close game. Seattle and Sam Darnold has looked really well in that Seattle offense. And Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, they still have all the weapons. Jackson Smith and Jigba has looked really good, along with their new receiver in Horton. So yeah, I think this will be a good game. But I'm taking the Bucks as well on the road. They just have the dogs in them. I think they're going to bounce back after that tough loss to the Eagles, almost pulling off a comeback. But with that being said, I think this will be a great game. All in all, I'm taking the Bucks.
Then at 425, Commanders, Chargers. Commanders, I don't want to say need a win in this one, but kind of feels that way, the way the Eagles have been just keep on winning. And then you have the Chargers coming off a tough loss on the road to the Giants after destroying everybody in the AFC West 3 weeks prior. So maybe this is a get right week for the Chargers. Their run game has been kind of suspect, but I mean, I guess besides last week against Omari and Hampton obviously broke out. But
Mhm.
if he can have a repeat performance, then I don't really see a way that the Chargers lose this game because if they can run the ball, there's no way Herbert has that bad of a game again 2 weeks in a row. And they just announced that Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown are both out for this one for the Commanders. I know Jalen Daniels or Jaden Daniels is going to be back in this one. So it's going to be a good matchup quarterback wise, but I like the Chargers here at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chargers as well. Um, Basically, all the things you said were right on. Jaden Daniels being back is huge for the Commanders, but with their injuries, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to beat the Chargers here on the road.
And then we'll move to the Sunday night game. You get the Patriots going on the road, face the Buffalo Bills, undefeated Buffalo Bills. And I think they're going to not only win this game, but I think they're going to cover as well. Bills have just been so dominant. Last week they won by, what was it? I think it was 9. And they didn't even play, they played their worst game of football last week, in
Yeah.
all reality. And they still won by 9. And that just tells me that they're going to get right this week. I know it's a division rival. Obviously, they are the second best team in the division right now. So if you can win this game, have a 3-game lead in the division after 5 weeks, I don't say the Bills could go into coasting, but it could feel that way at that point. And I think Josh Allen in the ground game are going to take over. James Cook, big day on tap, and the Bills move to 5-0.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be a blowout for the Bills, especially at home. Josh Allen just cooks the Patriots. I think this is an easy pick here.
And then moving to Monday night, I was torn on this one. I'm going with the Chiefs on the road. I'm time and time again, it's just Mahomes magic. We know how it works against the new and upcoming team this year in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen has got this team playing really good. T-Law is playing mediocre at best, but they're still 3-1, and a win is a win. But I think we're going to see that here against the Chiefs team that has experience in these big primetime games where the Jaguars don't. And I think that's going to be the key factor in this one. Chiefs probably win by 4 to 6 points, I would say. Still a close game because both these teams are kind of still trying to figure it out. But the Chiefs' late game magic always works, so give me them.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think this is going to be a good game. I actually feel confident about this game. I think the Chiefs are going to win this one. The Jags have been playing better, but the Chiefs, they usually don't lose this type of game. I don't. I feel like on the road doesn't matter. They're just gonna, like you said, Mahomes magic. Monday Night Football. It's on the big stage, and Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. I don't know if they're up for it, so I gotta go with the gut here. It says the Chiefs.
And then for our pick'ems this week, I can see why you're going with the Chiefs because you're taking them for your survivor. Another undefeated week for you, and then I'm going with the Lions here at home against the Bengals.
All
And
right, so
see, this
yeah.
is yours, and then that's mine.
All right, and as for our through week 4 playoff brackets, if the season ended today, I got the Bills as the 1 seed in the AFC, and then I got the Chargers as the 2 seed. I believe the Ravens as the 3 winning that division. Although I might have to change that. The 3 and the 6 might change between the Ravens and the Steelers, but this can change after week 8 as well because we're gonna do it again.
Mhm.
I got the Jags winning the South. The Broncos getting that final wild card spot. Over in the NFC, I got the Eagles taking the number 1 seed, home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and I got the Bucks clinching the 2 seed, winning that division. Lions, Niners, Packers, Commanders, and Seahawks to round off the rest of my NFC bracket.
Yeah, then we'll jump to mine. I got the Bills as the 1 as well. I have the Chiefs as the 2. This team somehow, some way finds their way to win this division and make a run. So I can't count it out. The 3 seed, I got your Steelers winning the AFC North, especially with the news now, obviously with Lamar, and who knows how that's going to go. It feels like it's theirs to lose already. Jaguars at 4 as well for me. They're going to win the South. And then I have two AFC West teams in the Chargers and the Broncos making the playoffs as the 5 and the 6. And then I have those Colts. I think they've proven a lot to me. If they can play 80% of what they're doing now, they'll probably end up 10 and 7, 11 and 6, and get into the playoffs. Moving to the
Hmm.
NFC, I got the Niners as the 1. There's, they half of their team isn't even playing right now, and they still find a way to be competitive, if not win games. So when they finally get healthy, I think they're going to be even better. Eagles at the 2 makes too much sense. They're undefeated right now. My Packers at 3, I think a little bump in the road, but they're still figuring things out. It's pretty much going to be between them and the Lions, I would say, at this point to win the North. And then I have the Bucks winning the South because that one is probably already over. And then you have the Lions, Rams, and Bears all making the playoffs as those teams in the wild card, I guess, that make it. And I think, you could easily swap the Lions, Rams, and Bears all seeds and even the Packers, I guess, because of the North.
Mhm.
Depending on how you feel about each team. Obviously, I'm biased, so I'm going to put my Packers there at 3 seed. There's going to be a lot of games here these next 4 weeks that a lot of these teams play each other actually. And we'll get a better, understanding of kind of how we think this bracket's going to shake up moving forward. Yep. But that's going to be it for our week 5 predictions. Make sure you guys come back next week to see how we did on this week's games and let us know in the comments below on how your guys' brackets would look. If you were doing the same thing or if you disagree with ours. But till next time, Bench Buddies are out.